Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited. I am finally starting my seeds for this year. If you've been following my channel at all, you'll know this year is the first garden that I'm starting, and I am going to be starting seeds. I'm going to be doing the basically minimum number I can do to hopefully plant in my garden. I have a very small seed starting setup. I only have 2 trays, and these were gifted to me by my mother-in-law. So I have one seed starting light, and I only have 2 trays. So as part of my commitment to myself this year, I decided that I was going to try and minimize the amount of cost I was spending on my garden. My husband and I recently bought a home, and so we need to keep the cost down. And I'm so excited to get my seeds started today because maybe, as you can see behind me, it's snowing here in Southwest Virginia. So I still have 2 months until my first frost date. Our last frost date here is in early May. So I'm excited to get my seeds started. Today I'm only going to be starting a few seeds. Almost everything I'm going to be doing my best to direct sow outdoors, and that's for 2 reasons. The first is what I've already said. I have a very small seed starting setup, and so I need to be judicious about what I'm starting. The second reason is one of my other commitments to myself this year was that I would try to minimize the amount of time that I spent, or be mindful of my time. I have a full-time job, and I just don't have a ton of time to devote to the garden. So direct sowing is going to be less time for me, and I'm only starting the things that absolutely need to be started indoors. So I'll show you what seeds I'm going to be starting today, and then I will show you how I'm going to be planting them and what my seed starting setup looks like. So I'm going to start with our tomatoes. So I'm starting these tomatillos. I love tomatillos to make salsa. We're going to be starting the Lemon Boy tomatoes. A lot of these seeds you'll see are from Hoss. I bought the Acre Homestead and Hoss seed collaboration this year, and the reason I did that is because, first of all, I love Becky at Acre Homestead. She's absolutely incredible and really inspiring. And the other reason that I did that is because I'm going to be growing almost an entirely container garden this year. We purchased this house in July, and there are some fenced beds that the previous owner had used as garden beds at some point, but they're so overgrown with weeds that I can't possibly plant in them. And so what I'm going to be doing is actually putting bag soil on top of the beds and actually leaving the bags intact and planting within them. This is a strategy that I learned about in a book that I will link down below. And hopefully it seems as though I can still grow everything I want to in there. There's going to be a bunch of holes in the bottom of the bag, so the water and roots should be able to go down. And this is a good way of keeping the water in the soil, but also being able to plant on area that I wouldn't otherwise be able to this year, just because of the situation with the weeds. So that's the Lemon Boy tomato. The next one we'll be planting is Container's Choice. This is also from the Hoss Small Spaces collaboration with Acre Homestead, and the Rosy Finch tomato as well. This is a 42-day tomato. I read about this on MI Gardener's website. I saw these, and who could resist? It's a small cherry tomato. 42 days is incredibly fast for fruit for tomatoes, so I had to try it. So those are all the tomatoes and tomatillos I'm growing this year. The next thing I'm going to be starting is basil. I had hoped I could just plant this outside, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start some, and I'm going to direct sow some and see how it goes. The next thing I'm starting today are peppers. So I've got 3 varieties of peppers that are from the Acre Homestead collaboration. They're the Right On Red pepper. This is a sweet pepper. These are the Mia Rosa peppers. These are like a long, thin red variety. And then finally jalapenos. We love jalapenos because we love salsa. I'm also going to be starting some broccoli. I was told that this is very difficult to grow. My husband and I love broccoli, and so I decided to give it a chance. The other crops that I'm growing this year that I'm going to need to start, but I cannot start today, are these three. So I'm going to be trying to grow an asparagus bed, put in some perennial asparagus. It'll be 2 years before we get any harvest and 3 before we get a real good harvest. But my husband and I plan on being in this house for a long time, and we love asparagus. I have an area I think I can keep as a perennial asparagus bed. So we're going to try and start these, and we'll see if I can actually convert that area into a perennial asparagus bed. That is to be determined. The next one is globe artichokes. These are also from My Gardener. I love artichokes, and they're so expensive at the grocery store. I never end up buying them. So I'm excited to have another perennial. And the last thing is just some lavender. I'm starting some English lavender to have in our front yard as a decoration. And the reason I can't start these today is because it is recommended that these crops and most perennials be cold stratified. And what that means is you basically put them in a area with plenty of moisture and keep them in your refrigerator for a couple of weeks. And so I've actually already started that process. You can see here I have a plastic bag, just a Ziploc bag with a wet paper towel in it, and I have my seeds in here, and I'm just keeping these in the crisper drawer of my outside refrigerator. And all three of those, the asparagus, the artichokes, and the lavender, need to be cold stratified to properly germinate. And so I only was able to start these yesterday, and so I have 2 more weeks of having to keep these in the refrigerator before I can put them into my seed starting. So I'm going to leave a couple of rows empty so that I can plant these and start them once the 2 weeks of these being cold stratified is up. So I'm going to put these aside. These are my perennials for later. And I'll zoom you guys in and we'll get started planting. I got you guys all zoomed in. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start by just making a little well with the back of a pen in each of these spots. And I actually pre-wet this soil. So what I did was when I filled the trays while I was in my backyard. And I would have filmed that, except that it is extremely cold today. And I wanted to get in and get out as quickly as I could because it is snowing and I didn't want to have to carry my camera equipment outside. So I'm just going to make little divots in the trays before I get started. And let me look at the basil. Let's see. Okay, 1/4 inch. So and then what I did was I filled these completely with soil and I made sure to pat them down a little bit, and then I sprayed everything with water. So they're already pre-moistened, and once I put the seeds on, I'll probably give them another little spray as well. And so I'm going to start with my tomatillos. seeds are in our trays, and I will show you my setup that is over in my dining room. So this is my seed starting setup. This whole kit was a gift, as I said, from my mother-in-law, and this kit here was pretty expensive, so I probably wouldn't have purchased it for myself, but I'm hoping that it does the job. It's got 2 LED style, I think, or 2 incandescent style lights, and we have trays. And the way these work is there's actually, the cells are here, and then there's this larger bin, which actually is what you put the water in. So underneath the tray, there's a piece of fabric that's actually absorbent, and the end of that fabric sits in the water. So you've put water in the bottom of this section of the tray. This little lifter holds the fabric and holds up the actual cells, and then this absorbent fabric pulls the water from the bottom of the tray to the bottom of the cells, and that keeps them all watered without you having to top water. So it's a bottom watering system that kind of self-regulates. So it's really convenient and easy, but it was I looked online after we received it as a gift. It was quite expensive. And so what I'm going to do, I have it here on this old bar cart. It happens to fit like exactly perfectly on this old bar cart that I inherited from my parents when they were moving. And it's on wheels, which is really convenient because this is in my dining room and a nice sunny window. And so if I decide that we're having friends over or something, I can actually just roll this away so I can go hide it. We also have these covers, and that just keeps the moisture in. And when you're first starting to germinate seeds, most seeds don't actually need light to germinate, because obviously they're underground. They're not going to see the light. But once your little seedlings pop up, they need to have light immediately. So usually it's recommended that you just keep the lights on. And this system also allows you to lower the light, so you're getting more intense light in your plants. So I'm just going to lower it until it's right above the trays there. And I think we're pretty much ready to go. The only other thing to note is I put this right above one of the heating registers for my house. You see, you can kind of see that, but I have a register that's the heater, which is right under there. And that way it should hopefully keep the whole system a little bit warmer because I don't have heat mats. So I'm hoping that being under the register will help. And then if I need to, I'm going to put a big towel or a blanket or like a sheet over this to try and keep the heat in and keep these seeds warm. So I also plan on putting this, I will set this up on a timer so that the light turns on and off automatically. And I think you're usually supposed to put about 16 hours worth of light on your plants. So there's our seed starting setup. I'm so excited to get into this year's garden season. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you'll tune in again and watch as these little babies grow and as we get our garden started for this year. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for all of you who have liked and subscribed and commented on my videos. It really means the world, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye.